Why are you tired all the time? And why has your energy level, which used to let you do everything with enormous pleasure, accomplish so many things when sex was more vivid, orgasms were better, you wanted to hit the gym after sex, and you had hobbies and interests? Why is all of this gradually losing its color? Many of you think this is probably normal. This is not normal. It could indicate something serious going on. Today I'll tell you why this might be happening in your body, what main causes can lead to this, how to fight it, and I'll share a concept that will allow you to use your body at 100%, not at the 20-30% minimum functionality. The first thing we need to start with is the typical picture of a regular hospital visitor. They come in and say, "Doctor, I have some problems. I feel like something's not right." What happens next? The doctor says, "Get more sleep, get more rest," or at best, "Let's check your labs." They look at the labs and say, "Everything's fine, you can go." They send you away, and you came to the doctor with a problem that basically wasn't solved. All they told you was that your labs are fine, but the problem hasn't gone anywhere. I'm going to tell you about the main cause of this. To understand it, you need to grasp the concept of the health pyramid. Imagine a health pyramid, a triangle, 3 sides. When you go to a doctor, say an endocrinologist or an andrologist or a urologist, you come and try to solve everything from just one side. What are the 3 sides? The top side is our biochemistry. That includes all our lab tests, all our hormones, including sex hormones, thyroid hormones, adrenal hormones. Got it? Remember that. The second side of the triangle, one point of the pyramid, is our brain. Everything that happens in our brain. Emotions, mood, motivation, depression. Remember that? Let's call it the head side. And the third side, what do you think it is? It's our body. How much fat you have in your body, what loads you experience, how much you sleep, what conditions you work in. So, body, head, biochemistry. What's the main problem and mistake of all doctors who take a standard template approach to health? When someone comes to them, say you work as a taxi driver and you say, "Doctor, I have pelvic congestion, my hemorrhoids are flaring up, my legs are getting swollen," and they say, "Here's a medication to prevent congestion, just take it when you have a flare-up." Okay, but what about the root cause? Second example, someone comes in and says, "Doctor, I have potency problems, erection issues." The doctor says, "Here's a pill, take it, your erection will be better." You come to the doctor and they try to solve all problems through just one angle, through your biochemistry. The principle is simple. Look, can your testosterone level, your hormones, your biochemistry depend on how overweight you are, how much or how little you exercise, and so on? In other words, what you do with your body. Does it affect sex hormone levels? Of course it does. Now let's look at it the other way. Do your sex hormone levels and all your biochemistry affect how you look? Can a person with lower testosterone be heavier? They can. So the connection goes both ways. Now take the head. What do you think? A person with depression, apathy, who doesn't feel like doing anything, will they go to the gym, be motivated, work out? No. So the head affects the body. Now tell me, does a person who's overweight or conversely super skinny, does this affect how depressed they might be or how dissatisfied with themselves? It does. So the head works both ways with our body. And the third side, our head. Say you broke up with your girlfriend. You got dumped. Your wife cheated. Do you think your sex hormone levels in a depressive state will go up or down? And stress hormone levels, when your boss is grinding you down every day at work, or you work as a taxi driver and your clients are just draining you, what happens to them? Right? Stress hormones go up, sex hormones go down. The head affects hormones. Now tell me, if a person has low testosterone, low sex hormones, low libido, does this affect the chances of them having depression? I see a huge number of people who get put on antidepressants when no one ever checked their testosterone, and it turns out the cause was testosterone and vice versa. So, friends, this pyramid works in all three directions. If a person initially had depression, this can affect how they look, how they feel, and what's happening with their hormones. Our body is like an entire micro-universe, and when just one element of it malfunctions, your entire system starts to suffer. So maybe this noise and disorder isn't a problem. It's an attempt to get through, an attempt to convey that even the universal chaos inside you needs cleaning and complete diagnostics, along with individually selected treatment methods. So, when you go to a doctor, the main problem is that you're trying to solve your illness from just one side of the pyramid, and you're forgetting that there's the influence of your lifestyle and your psycho-emotional state. If you solve this problem from only one side, the amount of effort required, the volume of supplements and medications will be exponentially higher. And secondly, it won't lead to complete improvement. Or, for example, going to a psychologist when things aren't working down there and the doctor thinks that at 25 you can't possibly have erection problems related to low testosterone, because for many doctors it's a revelation that testosterone can drop even at 25 because a person isn't sleeping enough or is training too much. And they try through psychoanalysis, through motivational things, through uncovering childhood problems to fix your testosterone levels. Yes, this can certainly shift your libido in one direction or another. Or, for example, they say, look, he's fat, he eats everything, he doesn't exercise. Some guy might be watching this video right now who goes to the gym, trains, puts in a huge, gigantic amount of effort to lose extra weight. He drops 4 or 5 pounds in 3 or 4 weeks, and then in 1 week gains it back. Why? Because he's solving the problem only from the body side. He went to the gym and the trainer says, you just need to eat less, do lots of cardio, train hard, and everything will be fine. But the psychological problems, because of which he stress eats, because of which he's unmotivated, because of which he has high cortisol, no one's addressing those. Same with the biochemistry problems, no one's solving those. The pyramid works in 3 directions, even if the original cause was just one. This is the most important concept you need to accept. All processes in our body work this way. Now, moving on. Fatigue. Why are you tired all the time? As you understand, this can depend on any side of the pyramid. Take my practice. I've consulted with quite a lot of people, several thousand per year, and it's always more or less the same pathological conditions. Today we'll break down what fatigue actually is. First, you need to understand what fatigue is. Many of you think fatigue is the state you feel inside, that you're just lazy to get up, lazy to move somewhere, lazy to peel yourself out of bed in the morning. But fatigue actually has many masks. Declining strength performance at the gym, sleep disturbances, you become more aggressive, you become, for example, more sentimental, you tolerate stress worse, you start snapping at people around you. At the same time, you might be going to the gym, everything looks fine, you look great, but nervous system fatigue is accumulating. Biochemical fatigue is also accumulating. Concentration got worse, memory got worse, you get less pleasure from things, creativity started fading. I observe many performers from the music industry, and some of them try to find an outlet through substances, getting stimulation that way. But the actual cause is that they're simply exhausted. The first step is to identify this fatigue and understand that you have it. Because in the classical understanding, fatigue is just some kind of laziness. It's not. Life satisfaction, this feeling of fullness, that's probably the best description. This feeling of fullness, that there's this life energy inside you. Remember yourself at 15, 16, 17 years old. That was the peak of your fullness. And it holds until 23, sometimes 25 for some people. Then we gradually start eating ourselves away. Third point, what can cause this? People will tell you it's a sick thyroid, it's hypothyroidism. Yes, absolutely. It's low sex hormones, absolutely. And of course, I'll give you a list of what you need to check if you have these signs. But you need to understand that this is already a fait accompli, and the root cause was something else. And that's why, probably before dysfunction, deficit forms first. Our body has a great capacity for adaptation. Stress doesn't knock us out immediately, so we can endure work hardships for a long time. Remember that movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, where he lost it in traffic because everything had just gotten to him, and he just got out and started shooting at people, kidnapped his daughter. Basically, they pushed him over the edge. And as you know, these things build up. It's not like he came in one day and beat a colleague with a baseball bat. It accumulates, and at some moment a person just breaks, crosses a line, starts doing terrible things, or falls into depression or into alcoholism. And that's why probably the first thing is deficiencies. What deficiencies? Everyone's probably thinking vitamins now. Absolutely vitamins. But the most important and frequent deficiency, especially in a big city, is first of all sleep deficiency. This is primarily sleep quality and secondarily sleep quantity. The problem is that when you sleep little, you try to compensate with sleep quality. You use an eye mask, you use earplugs, you install blackout curtains, but you never compensate for the lack of adequate sleep volume with quality sleep. And vice versa. You can sleep 9 hours, but if your house is next to a runway, you'll never be well rested. Both quantity and quality matter. Better if both are at least 80% of what they should be. That's the first deficiency. The second deficiency is physical activity deficiency. Your psycho-emotional state, the state of your body, the state of your endocrine system, depends on adequate physical activity volume. There's a flip side here. Many people go to the gym excessively because there's an addiction to physical training. For example, with runners, they can't not run. If they're not running all the time, they don't feel great. They even experience runner's high when they run long distances. I've had patients who ran 3 times a day because during the run they experienced amazing euphoria. There are 2 situations. First, too much training. You're wearing yourself out. Too little training. You're not stimulating yourself enough. So training, physical activity, various forms. Not necessarily gym training. It could be swimming, could be martial arts, tennis, but it should be balanced. Third, actually, is a deficiency of beneficial microbes. And I'm not calling on you to drink some supplements that will improve your microflora. The foundation of healthy microflora is consuming the right foods in adequate amounts. No supplements will solve this problem if you're eating fast food morning to night or eating fried everything. The main thing is proper consumption of adequate amounts of fiber and generally the right attitude toward your gut. Because the gut, for many of you, is just a tube, but it's actually your immunity, sex hormones, stress response, a huge amount. The gut even produces the same hormone that's produced in our pineal gland, melatonin, for example, but it has a slightly different role there. It handles local regulation. Another deficiency to add to the list, chronic stress. It also wears us down. We're all used to acute stress. Acute stress is when something happens suddenly and requires you to mobilize. Chronic stress is like when you're at a traffic light revving the engine, holding it at 5,000 to 6,000 RPM. If it's for a short time, you'll start faster. But if you're in that mode for a long time, the engine overheats. It's not very healthy. Chronic stress is the thundercloud syndrome. I call it that. And I especially see it often in business people. They're sitting at my appointment and, well, not necessarily a business person, could be a taxi driver. This is a person who has some life problems. A mortgage. Debts. A friend screwed them over, wife is cheating or doesn't love them, or there's a mistress, meaning they're constantly in stress. Worrying that the wife will find out about the mistress, someone will write to her. This cloud follows them. They're sitting at my appointment, they say their vacation started, but I can see in their eyes they're not here. they're always somewhere else. Like on a phone, there are always some apps running that you don't see on the screen, but they're consuming resources. They're constantly eating their resources. So these people fly off somewhere, say to Hawaii or the Caribbean, to rest. And this cloud goes with them. Why did I mention business people first? Because when you have your own business, leaving work means you're still at work, and this chronic stress eats away at you. So of course, when there's an opportunity to work with this stress, you need to work on relationships, on your work, on hobbies and interests, because stress, you don't just need to remove it, you need to balance it most importantly. The main rule of fighting stress, everyone for some reason just tries to remove it. You need to balance this negative you have with positive. Positive is exercise, friends, good relationships, concerts. You need to maximize. Imagine you have a glass and it's bitter. Pour sugar into it. Don't just try to stop pouring in the bitter, because we live in a city, and most of my viewers live in a city. You won't escape this stress, and you'll suffer from it. Drugs. And you probably thought I'm talking about some addicts with syringes. No, here's your main drug. This is the main drug of our century. Social media, messengers, and everything else. Messengers take away our live communication, which is irreplaceable. Humans are designed to need live communication. All these electronic screens make us not read books. And reading books, besides being very beneficial, is also cognitive work that helps you prevent dementia, first of all. So actually, gadgets are of course necessary. We can't escape them, and we need to use them. But try to minimize all these shorts, reels, and everything else, although I make them too. They really wear out our nervous system, especially everything related to our dopamine, the desire to quickly get information, quickly get pleasure, quickly see the end of a 15-20-second clip. So this isn't very good. Nutritional imbalance. Nutrition. We only associate it with appearance, with how we look. We view any food only in terms of proteins, fats, carbs, energy. Besides that, there's also the saturation of modern products with what we so vitally need. In chronic cases, it's vitamin C deficiency, B vitamins, most often B9, B12. There are other B vitamins too, but these are the most common. Very often there's not enough iodine, especially in many U.S. regions. I encounter iodine deficiency very often. Magnesium is lacking. A peculiarity, chronic stress and iodine with magnesium often go together. Those who lack magnesium often lack iodine. It's 50-50 because you're in greater demand. You have more energy needs, more load on the thyroid. And iron deficiency. Yes, everyone thinks this is only about women. No, this isn't only about women. Unfortunately, it's also about men. We encounter iron deficiency too. And of course, if we move away from deficiency states, probably we lack positivity and sunshine. Sunshine. I mentioned vitamin D. You think if you don't get sun, you can just take vitamin D from a bottle and get everything you need. Unfortunately, that's not possible. It's very important that we have contact with sunlight. This effect of sunlight on your retina is very important. You've probably noticed that when you go somewhere on vacation, you're resting in, say, New York, and then you go to Mexico, and the sun comes out. You'll never restore vitamin D that fast in your life. But at the same time, you want sex more, sleep is better, mood is better, you start feeling better. The same rest, take everything away, try it. I don't know if you want to experiment. If you fly to Florida but don't go out in the sun, you won't get half of what you could get from that vacation. If you look at any bottle of cola, whatever. So what if there's sugar? It's not that harmful. So what if there's colorant? It's not that harmful. And how is this product tested for food additive approval? They look at the toxic dose and decide that here it's so minuscule that it's basically fine. But no one tells you, and you forget about it yourself, and I sometimes forget, that there's a cumulative effect. Today you got harm from this drink, from these fries, from this stress, from this sleep deprivation, from smoking, from vaping. And if we take any of you, you know perfectly well where the harm comes from. You need to wake up to an alarm. How many animals wake up to an alarm? They wake up when they want to, or when there's a need. You mostly wake up to an alarm. An example of why this isn't good. Morning erections. Many of my patients don't have morning erections, specifically when they wake up to an alarm. This concept of the health pyramid, remember it for life and never forget it. When you go to a doctor, you're coming for a solution to only one side of this problem. The other two sides are always on you. You want us to pull out some magic pill and do all the hard main work for you. As doctors say, physicians treat illnesses, but the patient must obtain health themselves. That's why I run my social media. That's why I have many free projects to help you maintain this concept, this health pyramid, to help you exercise, to help you stay motivated. You know, I spend my time, energy, effort trying to convey all this to you, and I unfortunately understand perfectly well that for 95% of the people who watch this video, nothing will get through. We're designed such that we only understand when we get hit on the head. For example, when some illness pops up, when diabetes debuts, and all this is against a background of real stress, chronic fatigue, that's when something gets through to us. For guys, when things stop working, or when there's 40, 50 extra pounds and it's just hard to walk upstairs. For those 5% for whom it got through, including through such negative experience, I really ask you, for those 95% for whom it hasn't gotten through yet, because that critical day hasn't come yet, share your stories in the comments under this video. What happened in your life that was pivotal against a background of stress, some kind of fatigue that made you understand you can't go on like this, and you started trying to fix your health? Because unfortunately, you know our saying, you don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. In what form did your wake-up call come? And what did you change in your life after that? And what did you achieve? Help motivate as many people as possible. Perhaps your comment will change even one person's life. That's worth spending 30 seconds of your time.